Hi folks, it's Paul W. again, the boss, back with more lessons on restaurant management. Today we're going to talk about how to fix operations. Say you're taking over a new store and you've got to fix it. Okay, more than likely if you're taking over a new store, you're going to have to fix it. That's the reason you're probably there. Not very often is it the guy got promoted and you're taking over a good situation. So that doesn't happen very often. So before I start though, let me give you my website again. www.theboss.rocks, helping restaurant managers, owners grow sales, profits professionally and personally. So, okay, let's get into the meat of it here. So, fixing operations. First thing is, and I'm not going to go into breaking down the operations. This is really going to discuss all people, okay? Because people's always the problem. Hey, food costs don't get screwed up by itself. Labor costs don't get screwed up by itself. It's all about people. And also, you can see my videos on how to fix food costs or labor costs or product or quality or service problems as well in my other videos. So um, you can break those down and use those really, as to, as part of fixing operations. So anyway, put up the help wanted sign first, okay? Problem is usually people. Why do we put up the help wanted sign? And I'm very specific about this point, it being a help wanted sign. Number one, it's universal. Meaning what? Meaning you don't have to read it to know what it says. You don't read a stop sign. You just know that it says stop. Okay. Uh, why not a company sign? A lot of companies will have banners or flyers that you can hang it on the front door or tape to the door or whatever. And they'll say, all the benefits you get. Number one, the benefits aren't that great, okay? Let's be real honest. It's pretty close to a minimum wage job. It's restaurant work, okay? So them trying to glorify it doesn't do a lot, okay? By explaining the benefits you're going to get, okay? Number one is you have to be close enough to read it. So I worked, well, I'll get into that a little later. You can read the help wanted sign from the street. You may not read it, but you know what it says. Okay. Um, and then my experience is this. I had this literally happen with one of the very first companies I worked for. And this company in particular, they were sending me from restaurant to restaurant to restaurant to restaurant to restaurant to fix each one. Okay. And on the second one, my boss's boss came to me and says, hey, why aren't you're not allowed to use these help wanted signs? We've outlawed these things basically. It's against policy. You're supposed to use these printed off things and just ask your district manager and he'll get you some. Okay. Number one, they're 8.5 by 11. Okay. So they're no bigger than the help wanted sign. Okay. Number two is they get so much stuff written on it that only customers can see it. I'm hiring people. I'm in need. I'm fixing the restaurant. That's the purpose I'm here. My idea is I know I'm going to be working 60, 80 hours in the meantime until it gets fixed. Okay. Number one, I want that to be only last a month instead of 3 months. Okay. Which sometimes it'll last 3 months. Sometimes it'll last 6 months. Okay. To fix a store and get it fixed properly. Okay. So I want to eliminate that amount of time. Okay. And so that means I don't really care if you're our customer. Yeah, I prefer you're one of our customers if I had, to hire you. But if you've never tried our product, I really don't care as long as you can come in and do a good job. You don't have to eat our product. You don't have to be a customer of ours. Um, and I explained that to the guy. I explained to him about it being universal. I explained to him about it being you can see it from the street. Explained to him that you can only read your sign from up close. Basically you have to be a customer. And even if you're a customer, it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to read what's on the door. So he with what I said, he immediately let me do it. But I had already fixed one, so I think he figured I knew what I was doing. So So that's one thing that's nice is once you get a couple feathers in your cap, they start to trust you, and they let you do some things. Okay. Um, Next thing is you got to accept the fact that you're going to be replacing a lot of people. Okay, get prepared for it because some of them are going to no show on you. Some of them are going to walk out in the middle of the shifts. Some, um, and then some of them are going to be the new people. Okay, um, so you accept the fact that you're going to be replacing people. Just accept it. Okay. In fact, your plan is to control it, to initiate it, to fire people instead of having them not show up for you, because that means you're going to get screwed over and someone's going to get slow service or whatever, and puts the restaurant in a bind. So you'd rather control that situation and replace people. Okay. Um, there will be so many that you're going to have to replace. There won't be a particular order all happening. Now you want to try to go from top to bottom. Okay. And why top to bottom? Because if you get your first assistant hired and he comes in and gets trained, he can now start helping you train others. Okay. Next is standards. That's why you're there. Exactly why you're there. Okay. You must have higher standards than the previous manager. You're not going to exceed what was already going on in the operations before if you don't have higher standards. If you don't expect everybody to do C work and the other manager expected them to do C plus work, how are you going to fix the store? You're not. Okay. Uh, Never sacrifice your standards, yours or the company's. Okay. Sacrificing the company standards can get you fired. Okay. Number one. Number two is uh, employees see that and then they decide to start cutting corners and figure, well, if you can do it, why can't they? Well, true statement. Um, Resistance. You're going to have people that are going to resist your standards. Um, they just are going to fight you. They're going to not do it when you're not around or whatever. So be prepared for that also. Those are people you're going to start replacing. What are these standards? Well, corporate should, if it's a corporation, they should have an operations manual. Those are the standards. They tell you how to make the product, how to wait a table, how to deliver, whatever. Okay, they tell you all that. What if you don't work for a large corporation? They don't have one. Start writing. Okay, and have fun with this one because it's going to be a lot of work. And I've had to do this before too. Go in to fix a store or stores, and they have no operations manual. They have no no operations manual, no training program. I mean, I can't believe I I want to start a restaurant. I've already got them written. Okay, I wouldn't even open my doors until I had one written. Okay, so um, otherwise you're just passing it on from mouth to mouth. I remember I think I was in fifth grade. Probably about 25 kids in my class, and we all sat in a circle. And the teacher started off by telling the person to her left something, just say a 5-word sentence. Then they were supposed to tell it to the next person, and then the next person. But I came all the way back around. It was a completely different thing than what the teacher had said. So this gives you an idea, you know, why you need it in writing, why you need operations manual, why you need a training program, so that everybody's learning the same thing. They're making the product the same way. If you don't have it, it's just going from the guy that started it or invented the product or whatever, and went to the next manager, to the next manager, to the next manager, to the next manager, to the employee, to the employee, to the employee, to the employee. It's gonna, you may start off with a chicken sandwich. Next thing you know, you got a chicken salad sandwich or something. Who knows? It's not going to be the same product. Okay. Um, when you start writing, I would do station by station, position by position. Um, so um, That's how I do it. Someone taught you the right way. That's what you're going to write. Whatever you've been taught as the correct way to make or do each position. Okay. Um, Start with the operations manual, then the training program. Okay. Um, Make charts per station job helpers. In other words, put a little recipe cheat sheet on how to make each product at each station. Let them know their duties for that station. Put that in writing. Put that at each station. Cleaning list and time management guidelines and so forth. All these charts are there to help them. Okay. Um, make them cook, serve, clean better than they're doing, and then also help them. You're expecting more of them. They're not used to it. Help them become better. Okay. The idea isn't just bark orders or tell them how to do it or teach them. You've got to coach them. You've got to work with them. Uh, if you're there, with up to with in your elbows, they'll respect you and they'll follow you more. Next is make checklists, which I kind of already covered. Um, um, make them do it as good as you and as fast as possible. Implement station by station as soon as possible. Okay. As you get one station done, immediately start training everybody using that training program for that. Make improvements as you go. Sometimes you won't get it exactly right the first time. You may find there's a better way to clean something. Now there's certain standards you can't. A recipe's got to be followed. Okay, those things you don't have any control over. But there's other things in operations that you may not get right. You may want them to do this. You may have told them you want them to do this between 1 and 1:15, and now you want to change it to 1:45 to 2 o'clock. Okay, make those changes as you go and inform everybody. Okay, great quizzes and tests. Make them memorize the information. Don't trick them but instead make them masters. Okay. Um, Something that annoys me about people that teach and train is that it's like they don't want you to get a good grade. The idea of teaching is to give them knowledge they didn't previously have, and in this case, training as well. And when I say training, I mean more of a hands-on thing than a mental thing like teaching is. Okay, so help them. Okay, make the test hard. You want them hard because you want them to be the best they can be. You want them to have every product memorized. Don't just test them on 3/4 of them or half of them or 25% of them and hope they got the rest right. Make them know them all. Okay, so make it hard. Okay, because you want them to be masters. Remember, you don't want them to just be good. You want them to be masters. But also, not only make the test hard, but use the test as a study guide. Quiz them on it and stuff. You just hold the test right in your hands and ask them the questions right off the test. And when they've got it down verbally, then you give them the written test. Okay. You're going to give them a book and hands-on test. Okay. In other words, they got to keep up the speed. Just because they memorized it doesn't mean they can apply it. So they have to be able to apply it by using, doing quality first and speed second. Okay. Excuse me. Next thing is you want to understand the current staff and managers. They've been taught lower standards, so you can't totally blame them because there are going to be some keepers out of the bunch, and you want to understand that. Okay, they think they know the right way, and this is going to create animosity, and this is part of the reason you're going to lose some people. Not only because you're going to replace them, because they're going to quit on you because they're thinking you're being a jerk because you're uh, making them do more, and they thought they knew it all. Okay, uh, they think you're unfair. Okay, uh, uh, they don't know the restaurant is screwed up. They don't know it's unprofitable, and many of them will resist you. Okay, some of them will talk to others about it, recruit others to kind of sabotage you. Okay, so expect these things to happen. Okay, restaffing. Expect some no-shows. Like I said, some people are just going to say, screw this shit. And they're just going to walk out. They can get a minimum wage type job anywhere, you know. Try to replace people whenever possible. That doesn't mean you necessarily have to fire them. I did mention firing them earlier. But you can just get their hours down to 2 to 4 hours a week until they get it right or until they quit, whichever they want. Fire or replace as you go. As you get the new person hired and trained, and they're doing things better or, than the guy you inherited or the gal you inherited, replace them. Um, do a store inspection at the beginning when you first get it. As soon as you get a chance at the store, and if your company doesn't have one, or your restaurant doesn't have an inspection, just go through the store and mark down every single thing you can find wrong or dirty, every light bulb that needs to be replaced, every windowsill that needs to be cleaned, every salt and pepper shaker that isn't full, and just nitpick the hell out of it. Okay, and that's key. That's keeping. It's not really your fault because you haven't been there long enough to fix anything, but you're going to do the same thing later. Okay, and you want to have the same standard each time because that's the only way to get an accurate idea of how good or bad you're doing is comparing apples to apples. Okay, it's a good starting point. This orientation is a good starting point. It's going to give you a cleaning list, and you're going to be able to cover product and service. You're going to cover product and service issues first. Those are more important than cleaning, although cleaning is going to be the first thing you get finished because it doesn't take as long to clean the store as it does to hire and train staff and get proper service and proper product back in line. Okay. Try to work top to bottom. You know, like I said before, managers can help train and fix the issues. And then after you've got the managers, then start with your trainees, or your head coach, etc. So again, top to bottom here. Okay. Now you're going to re-inspect the restaurant and celebrate because you've fixed it. Okay. And then you're going to praise everybody. You have to let your people know they're doing a good job. And then 2, teach them to self-evaluate themselves and to strive to improve every day. Okay, they need to be getting, even though things are good, doesn't mean you're satisfied now. You may be at a C plus or a B minus or a B or A minus level. You want to go for A plus. Okay, ask for perfection, expect excellence. That's it for fixing the labor part of restaurant operations. Usually you do that, everything else falls in place because you're retraining so many people. Training or retraining so many people, it fixes your food costs, it fixes your labor costs, fixes your cleaning issues, fixes product quality, fixes service issues. So that's pretty much going to be all involved in doing this. But if you have problems, even after you've done this with one of those areas, then go see my video on that one. It explains that in detail. Well, I'm outie. Okay, isn't that cool how I say outie instead of goodbye or whatever? Anyway, here's my website again, www.boss.rocks. Helping restaurant owners, managers grow sales, profits professionally and personally. Thank you, and you all have a great day.